Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? We out here, baby. Ty Butler live on YouTube and Twitter. Follow us at Ty D Butler. You know how we do. You know how we do, baby. Got the Beatles shirt on. Who did I get a compliment from today? Oh yeah, I had a doctor's appointment. Doctor was like, "Yo, love the Beatles shirt." Yeah, it's a pretty cool shirt. I got it from, where did I get this shirt from? Atlas Mall. 21 Men. Not too bad. Biceps looking good. You know, we've been out here working, y'all. We out here working, baby. I'm just buying some time for people to hop on the stream. Ty D Butler's where you can find me on X. Uh, give the YouTube page a follow. Subscribe to the YouTube page, Ty D Butler. Getting it popping on Instagram as well. TikTok, been on TikTok, man. I haven't even checked TikTok since I posted my clip yesterday. The jet clip I posted. Did I see some activity on TikTok? Yeah, we're gonna have to go through that. See what's going on. See what's up on TikTok. But make sure you guys give us a follow because we got these clips ringing off out here on social, man. On social. Um, yo, you remember, for all my hip hop fans out there, right? For all my hip hop fans out there, yeah, y'all know the Jay-Z line. It was all good just a week ago. Y'all remember that. So as we get into the Jet conversation, it's just so funny that flashing across my timeline today was a clip of Sauce Gardner's game sealing pass deflection against the Bills. This was 2022. So Sauce is in the midst of his second straight All-Pro season. And I want to say the Jets improved to 6-2 in that game, but I just remember the feeling of beating Buffalo. You know, Josh Allen, I want to say it was like 4th and 17. He heaved it deep. Sauce breaks it up, and he's doing the snow angel celebration on the ground. And the Jets were rolling, man. And I see Salah, he's excited, jumping up and down as he should be. And I want to make sure I have this accurate because, like, you know, all the details. You know, you guys know me. I like to be precise with my details. So you go back to the 2022 season. They beat Buffalo. That is week 9. Oh, and I'm just, all the memories are coming back to me. Hit us up in the comments, man. I want to hear from y'all. We are talking today, are Jet fans being too negative? And there's a reason why I'm going down this rabbit hole. So follow me for a moment here. So this video comes across my timeline today, and I can show it to you, actually. I can show it to you. I can show it to you. Sauce against the Bills. I want to put it up on my screen. People were out here reminiscing this afternoon. I should have had it queued up. And I actually wanted to quote tweet it and put it and say, man, the good old days. Because it's funny. If you look back to a 7-10 season, and that feels like the good old days. A 7-10 season feels like the good old days, which just illuminates just how bad things have been for us, man. All right, I got it. I don't have the full clip though. I need the full clip. Need the full clip. And I don't want to play audio here. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. 3rd and 21, heave deep. Almost. All right, I got it for y'all. So we are going to relive a memory that I'm sure a lot of you guys have ingrained in your mind. Hit me up in the comments. I want to make sure you guys can see it on your screen. I have it queued up. You should be able to see it. And I'm going to play it for you. We'll blow this thing up a little bit. I'll play it for you so we can just go back. All right, 4th and 21. Josh Allen goes back, rolls now to his left. He's going to heave it down the field. Sauce Gardner. Pass gets broken up. The Jets, 20-17. Look how happy Robert Saleh is. He's excited. Sauce is doing the Snow Angels. Josh Allen walking off the field, a loser to the Jets. And all was right in the world. It's just amazing. That was just 3 years ago. That's just 3 years ago. The Jets beat the Bills 20-17. That's week 9. And this is where we kind of get into a little bit of what has become or what became an indictment of Robert Saleh. At that point, they're 6-3. Just beat the Bills. Headed into a bye. And what do we always talk about with the best coaches? Off of a bye, tough to beat. We always see the Andy Reid stat. You're not beating him off the bye. Saw it with Belichick, John Harbaugh. Like, the best coaches with extra time to prepare, they're just even more unbeatable. And then how did the Jets follow that performance up? They followed that up by going to Foxborough against the Mac Jones-led Patriots and losing an ugly 10-3 game. And if you guys remember, this was so heartbreaking for me. If you guys remember the game, the Jet defense was unbelievable. It was 3-3. And then our minds went to, all right, you're going to have to win it in overtime, except they punt the ball back to New England toward the end of regulation. And Marcus Jones returns it for a touchdown. And it was literally one of the most heartbreaking defeats I've ever experienced as a fan. Like, if you guys remember that game, which I'm sure you do, one of the most just heartbreaking moments. It was gut-wrenching, especially because of the high of beating the Bills. You get the bye, and now you are like sitting pretty at 6-3, playing a Patriot team that at the time was like right around where the Jets were. They were 6-3 as well, but to have your defense play that well, and Zach Wilson threw for 77 yards, and this was the beginning of the end for Zach Wilson, because remember the press conference, one of the reporters asked him, like, do you feel like you let your team down because the defense was so excellent, and for your offense to only put up 3 points when the defense held the opposing team to 3 points, but you lost on the special teams, do you feel like you let the team down? And remember, he said no. And it pissed all of us off to the point where even Robert Saleh couldn't deny it. We cannot throw this guy out there. So Mike White comes in, has that game against Chicago, played very well against Minnesota, then again against the Bills, fractures his ribs. So the reason why I'm going down this path is to just illustrate how it wasn't that long ago that the Jets were actually functional, that there were things to be proud of. Because you listen to Aaron Glenn in his press conference today, and I want to say it was Rich Cimini who asked the question. Forgive me if it wasn't Rich, but Rich was obviously in the room. And the question posed to Aaron Glenn was, what is your message to the team? You just got rid of 2 of your 3 best players. What's your message to the team? And he's like, I want them to get to, and I'm paraphrasing, get to a point where they're watching a product that they're proud of. And he kind of walked back something that he said before the season, because before the season he said, this year, yeah, I want you to be proud of what you're watching. Now he's saying eventually it's going to take some time. We were proud to watch that group because they were a top 5 defense. That rushing attack was awesome. And it's like become a phrase that you utter it now, and there's some PTSD nature to it. We're a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. Like, that's 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we're watching the Jets thinking they're a quarterback away from being a contender. Now you can say Every team can say that, right? Like any team can say, you know what? We had healthy Joe Burrow, we're a contender. But think about what I'm saying for a moment. The Jets, who are right now unwatchable. The Jets right now, who you actually felt good about them having a bye because you weren't subjected to awful, uh, uncoachable football. Or should I say, football where it looked like they were poorly coached, not uncoachable, poorly coached. Like that's how bad it is. Just 3 years ago, we're talking about quarterback away. And that roster has now been gutted. Quincy Williams, benched today. Quinnen Williams, his brother, traded to the Cowboys. Sauce Gardner traded to the Colts. Breece Hall, it sounds like, was about to get traded. If Kansas City, instead of offering a 4th-round pick, decides to part with a 3rd-round pick, Breece Hall would have been up out of here. Now, Jermaine Johnson, he stays put. Garrett Wilson, he stays put. But let's not act like the Jets have been devoid of talent. Hasn't been a talent issue. The roster has been, dare I say, loaded with, and it's the best part about it was loaded with young talent. That's what you aspire to have. Blue chippers, franchise level players who are on rookie contracts, who immediately blossom. That's what the Jets had. But the one thing that they didn't have was a quarterback. And if you don't have the quarterback, really doesn't matter much what the rest of the team looks like. So now we fast forward to today. And the question is, are Jet fans being too negative? Because I'm sick of people coaching me on how to be a fan emotionally. You should be more positive. You should be more optimistic. I was talking to one of my homies today in the gym this morning, and he's like, yo, I'm hyped about the Jets. And that's just not a sentiment that I can quite understand. I can't comprehend how a Jet fan right now is excited and or celebrating what happened yesterday. Now, if you are just analyzing the facts, and the facts are, yes, from a draft value standpoint, obviously they hit home runs yesterday. To come out with 3 first-round picks and a second rounder, like, yes, from the draft value standpoint, I completely understand it. But don't y'all get tired of being on this hamster wheel? We have somehow been so beaten down. We've convinced ourselves that better than winning a Super Bowl is hitting the reset button so we can tear this thing down. No one quite likes rebuilding like Jet fans. They just, it's like a shot of adrenaline. It's like a steroid. You just get pumped. The amount of Jet fans that I come across who are excited about another rebuild, it's like, yo, fam, we were just here. And here is what is so perfect. If you are excited about a rebuild, what you're hoping for is that you can hit on most, if not all, of these first-round picks. You are hoping to field a team that is rife with talent, top to bottom, blue chippers, young cats on rookie contracts, because that creates like a window of you being able to compete in this league and finally put an end to that just pathetic playoff drought. What does that sound like? Everything that I just outlined sounded like what the Jets did from 2020 on, where they hit on multiple first-round picks like Sauce Gardner, like Quinnen Williams, like Garrett Wilson. like AVT, like and we can get to the second round. Brees Hall, Jermaine Johnson. They hit on all these picks and they still can't win football games. So, what does that tell you? What it tells you is if we're going to just stop at, well, all I need to be excited is having a bunch of first round picks, then just look at recent history. Look at recent history. Recent history tells you we've done this thing before. So why am I to sit here and get amped? And the best part about it is, yo, how many people have y'all seen just ripping Aaron Glenn to shreds? The amount of people who, on one hand, tell you they don't like the head coach, but on the other hand, tell you they feel great about the future because they got all these picks. Well, guess who's making those picks? The head coach you don't like. So how the hell does that make any sense to anybody with half a brain? You don't like the head coach, who is, let's be honest, the guy running things. He's the general manager. Darren Muji is just on the phone, making the phone calls. The head coach is making roster decisions. So with all of these picks that the Jets have, that, I mean, excite you so much, you want to run outside butt naked. Marrying that excitement with your disdain for the head coach should extinguish all of the excitement. Obviously, guys, you want to have as many first round picks as possible. Another thing that's so funny to me is people raving about cap space. And it's like, well, here's the thing. You know who, hang on one sec. What is this? You know the teams that consistently have cap space? Bad teams. Great teams don't really have a ton of cap space because they spend that cap space on extending the great players that they drafted. So the fact that the Jets yesterday traded two of their three best players and now they have a bunch of draft picks and cap space leaves me conflicted. Yes, I would love to see them hit on these picks. I would love to see them sign great free agents. But it's actually quite depressing to see a team actually draft well, hit on a bunch of first round picks and second round picks, have them pop immediately. Like these guys popped immediately. And there are there's some context, right? Like Brees Hall injuries, AVT injuries, Jermaine Johnson, the injury last year. And actually, Jermaine Johnson started his career with an injury. But for the most part, they did everything right except draft a quarterback, which has been the toughest thing for them to do. Which is why, for all the folks excited about this rebuild, I just want to remind you guys we were just here. Jet fans have never met a rebuild they were not excited to go through. And yet here we are again, feeling that same level of jubilation. And now I'm supposed to think what? Things are going to be different. Why? Because this regime has come in and changed the culture. Okay, so let's talk about this regime. And I know people want to dismiss this because, oh, who really thought he was going to be anything anyway? Justin Fields was the quarterback that they signed. They gave him $30 million guaranteed, right? And you can say, well, I mean, that's not a lot of money. Did you take a look at what happened in Arizona this past week? Do you see what's going on with the Cardinals? Kyler Murray today was placed on the IR because he's dealing with a foot sprain. Kyler Murray lost his starting quarterback job to Jacoby Brissett because Jonathan Gannon decided, look, if I'm going to get fired, I might as well go down with the guy who I think is the best quarterback on the roster, and that's not Kyler Murray. So after watching Jacoby Brissett, he's looked at this team and said, I think Jacoby Brissett gives us the best chance to win. Okay. They started 2-0. They've been a disaster ever since. But Jacoby Brissett looks pretty good. Guess who was a free agent this past offseason? Jacoby Brissett, who, by the way, walked the Jets down last year. Jacoby Brissett carving up that Jet defense on a game-winning touchdown drive. One of the losses for this football team last season. Jacoby Brissett was a free agent. Arizona signed him for $12.5 million. The Jets signed Justin Fields for $30 million guaranteed. Who would you rather have at quarterback right now? Brissett or Justin Fields? Well, Ty, it's really easy to do that in retrospect. Yo, you're the head dog. You're the top dog. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make these decisions. Now, I'll be honest. It's not like this past off season I was clamoring for Jacoby Brissett. So I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, I was pounding the tables, go sign Jacoby Brissett. But damn it, it's the general manager's job to, go out there and make the best decisions for the team, right? And when I see Brissett win the starting job, or better yet, steal the starting job from Kyler Murray during the season, and I'm watching Justin Fields, who outside of last week against Cincinnati, looked like the worst quarterback in the league. And if you don't believe me, ask the owner of the football team, Woody Johnson. He'll tell you straight up. When I see that transpiring, then yeah, I'm allowed to go back and say, maybe it would have made more sense for them to go with Jacoby Brissett. Because here's another thing. And this is how people get themselves in trouble. When they're trying to blindly defend people who don't deserve being defended. If you want to come on here and say, well, Ty, it's actually your fault, the Jet fan, for having too high of expectations to come into the season because the Jets weren't actually trying to win football games. Here's the problem with that. You don't sign a quarterback to $30 million in guaranteed money that's going to have you take a dead cap hit this year and next year if you're not trying to win football games. You don't, in the first season as a head coach, come into it and say, you know what, I'm not trying to win. Because if that was the case, you would have gone out there and said, Tyrod Taylor, he's already under contract on his roster. We'll have him be the starter. And because he's always hurt, let's go get Jacoby Brissett to be our backup. We'll slide him on in there. You don't give Justin Fields $30 million guaranteed if you did not think he could help you win football games this year. So I don't want to hear that garbage. I'm not trying to go for that BS. I'll tell you straight up. That is just revisionist history. Revisionist history. Because they stink. Because they're 1-7. Because they're poorly coached. Now people want to cop please talking about, oh, well, it's your fault. You had too high expectations. Well, fam, Vegas had the over-under at 5.5 wins. You think the Jets are going to come close to that? Do you think the Jets thought that they were going to be this bad? No one talked about the playoffs. No one talked about double-digit wins. I didn't even say 500. I said, can you give me somewhere around 6 or 7 wins to show me that there's some type of a progression taking place? Haven't gotten that at all. So to answer the question I posed to the people today, are Jet fans being too negative? Hell no. Absolutely not. Because any faith that you have in this regime to hit home runs with those draft picks, to then draft a quarterback and mold him into a franchise guy. Any faith you have is doing so devoid of tangible evidence. You know what that's called? That's called blind faith. Blind faith and a defensive minded head coach, a rookie offensive coordinator, and an organization that has been pathetic for years. Having faith in them to all of a sudden draft a quarterback and him pop off. All right, we'll see how it works out. Okay, D'Amico Ryans. He's a defensive minded head coach, right? Year one, rookie offensive coordinator. Look at CJ Stroud, won a division, won a playoff game. Yes, of course it can happen. That there is a path to it happening. But I'm supposed to sit here and believe that after what I've seen so far this season? And that should have this wave of confidence ushered in and this wave of optimism ushered in based on what I've seen so far? To quote well, my moms, my aunts, and everybody used to say, at the barbecues, "Do I look like Boo Boo the Fool?" Come on, y'all. It's just, it's so funny. I find it to be stand-up comedy level funny. It's actually quite foolish. Pom-poms being waved, celebrations. Yo, people are celebrating. People are celebrating the fact that, the ribbon has been cut. Grand opening, rebuild. Like, that's cool? Y'all find that to be fun? That's what we're doing here? We're just normalizing an acceptance of being in a perpetual rebuild, and not just an acceptance of it, but actually finding a way to glorify it to the point where it's worthy of being celebrated. That's what we're doing here. That's the type of fans that I'm surrounding myself with. Oh, we are loaded. You see all these first round picks? Yo, yeah, man, we run the draft. Okay, congratulations on winning April. Can you win some football games from September to January? Or January, tie. Have you no shame. September to December, because January, I haven't thought about that in a decade and a half. Yo, it's crazy out here in these jet streets. It is nuts. I want to hear from y'all in the chat. NB213, what was the deal with your eye emoji tweets last night? Listen, I don't know if you're still in here, NB213. I'll be 100% honest with you. Um, and this might turn people off. This was not sports related. As you guys know, yesterday was election day. So I saw some things popping off that I found to be interesting, and I put some eye emoji on my Twitter last night. We don't got to get into it. I mean, we can if we want to. This is my platform. I can talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. But I know people here want to chop it up about sports, but that had to do with everything that was going on across the country as it pertains to some of those races last night. So I threw the eye emojis on the old X because I was just fascinated by what I was seeing, and being someone who was residing here in New York City, casting a vote for a certain individual and seeing what was transpiring last night through some eye emojis. Wanted to see what was up. Hopefully that answered your question, MB213. But back to the Jets. Yeah, I want to hear from the Jet fans. Where you guys at? I love for this to be a two-way conversation, because maybe there are some people out there who disagree with me. And you are passionate, you are fired up, and there is a a wave of enthusiasm that has swept your, jet house, and you feeling a little froggy, so I want you to be able to leap tonight. If you are the Jet fan right now, I just want to talk to somebody who's excited. The Jet fan that's pumped about some damn draft picks. I said this on the show last night. I feel about draft picks the same way that I do about cap space in the NBA. And that is, it only goes as far as how good the people in charge are at their jobs. Because you can have all the cap space in the world. Don't mean a damn thing if your general manager isn't able to, manage himself out of a paper bag. You root for a bad team, it leaves you discouraged when it comes to your team's accumulating assets to get them back to relevancy. And by back to relevancy, I mean, how about the Jets at some point, for the first time in a decade, creeping above the 500 mark? How about that? That'll be cool. Finishing a season above 500. So it just it's and I understand it, but it just frustrates me so much when you listen to Steelers fans complain about Mike Tomlin. It's like, well, all he's done for what now, 19 years in a row is have his teams not go under 500. And here the Jets are since 2015 haven't been able to do that. I get it, Steelers fans, because you're running different races, right? Like you're an organization that prides itself on championships. So you and the Jets are not even in the same stratosphere. So what can be deemed an accomplishment for the Jets isn't necessarily one for the Steelers. And you're just so sick and tired of ending every season devoid of a playoff win, not having won a playoff game since 2016. I understand that, but it is just funny to listen to Steelers fans complain because me sitting here in this miserable seat, there's nothing worse, y'all, than rooting for a football team that's literally bad at everything. Baseball is hard, and I speak from a place of privilege, and I don't mean to sound like an elitist, but I'm just being honest with you. I don't know what it feels like to root for a bad baseball team. The Yankees, every year of my life, have finished above 500, which makes the decision by my parents, to get it on and popping very, very interesting, and I give them credit for it because me being born in '93 means that I was this close to, having experienced a Yankee season under 500, but I just missed it, still haven't done that. Baseball is tough, though, because the season's so long, and I mean, you're like, imagine being a White Sox fan or, an Orioles fan all those years. Like, it's brutal. It's really brutal. Rockies, like, these just the dregs of baseball that it should be relegated to AAA. It's hard to root for a baseball team over the course of 180 day what is it, 181 days being bad, but there's something different about football because it's in your face. Like, you get these nationally televised standalone games. You'll get the Jets have a Patriots standalone Thursday night game coming up. We at the radio station in New York, ESPN, we had the Monday Night Football game where we did the watch party on YouTube. That's brutal. And as you're watching other teams, like Sunday is just for me, Sundays is I'm hopping on the show, I'm in church, I'm watching football the rest of the day. That's my Sunday. So to have this team just be just awful week after week after week just creates like such an environment of misery that you want to get out of. And the Jets just being so bad at everything, man. It's really difficult. Jose in Brooklyn chimes in. What do you want the Jets to do? They were 1-7, and the talent was showing signs of being overrated. So they evaluated the situation, made moves, getting mad at fellow fans for trying to find hope. Here's the thing, man. What did I want them to do? Okay, I wanted them to not be 1-7. I wanted them to not have wasted the prime of Quinnen Williams' career. I wanted them to not have wasted Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. and Jermaine Johnson and Breece Hall. Like, there's an abundance of talent on this team that we can debate, we can argue. Was it overrated? And in that debate, we can find to what degree, if there was a sense of being overrated, to what degree that happened. It is undeniable that this team was talented because I just watched them 2 years ago with Zach Wilson win 7 games. 3 years ago with Zach Wilson start the year 6-3, right? 7-3, and then they ended, yes, didn't win again. 7-3, and then lost out. I've seen it. So I wanted them to not find themselves in a position where they actually have talent on this roster that is coveted by teams that either think they could win the Super Bowl, like, realistically, or teams that are kinda, like, delusional about it. The Colts realistically think they can win the Super Bowl because they're that good. The Cowboys are kind of, stuck in delusional, right? I and they coveted players on the Jet roster. The Chiefs wanted Breece Hall. They just were getting calls about Garrett Wilson. So I wanted them to be good enough to where the talent that they had, that they cultivated, that they molded, that they produced, was able to experience winning on this football team. So we march forward. And the question then becomes, at 1-7, what should they do? I'm not faulting them for trading these guys. I told you yesterday, it's the right move. If someone's gonna offer you 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, gotta hop on it. You have to. You're 1-7, going nowhere. You don't have a quarterback. I get it. If someone's gonna offer you a first and a second for Quinnen Williams, gotta hop on it. I understand. So I'm not crushing the Jets for trading these guys. This was savvy. This was shrewd. A lot of controversy surrounding it because of who the guys are that they traded, but I applaud them for making the move. My problem is when you get to the point where you can't just stop at saying, all right, great job. When you're excited and celebrating the fact that your organization is so bad that you hit back to back drafts that you just hit out of the park, you now had to sell off these pieces, not because you couldn't afford them, because that was another that was a possibility. Remember, like, how long we spent thinking, man, like, there are gonna be some tough decisions to make with this Jet roster because you can't keep everybody. You've got Q locked up. You're gonna wanna extend Garrett Wilson, Sauce. Like, what do you do with Jermaine Johnson, AVT, Breece Hall? Like, we had legitimate questions about could they keep these guys, not because that they were so bad, but because, like, there's only but so many funds that can go around in a hard cap league. You traded them off because you're so pathetic. You were so poorly run that the only decision to make was to part with 2 of your 3 best players for some draft capital, which, again, that part of it, I get. Cashing in on assets, I completely understand. How we got here is infuriating, but also because if you wanna say, "Man, let the past be the past, let's focus on moving forward," I hear you, but bro, I can't there is I wanna make sure I phrase this right. There is nothing so far that has given me evidence that I can trust these guys with those draft picks. Point me to something that this regime has done so far that you can sit up there and now have like 100% confidence they're gonna get this right. Lack of experience, bad decisions so far. Like, what are the boxes they've checked so far? That gives you a reason to be hopeful, a reason to be encouraged, a reason to celebrate. That's what I keep coming back to, and I wanna hear from more Jet fans in here because Jose, he's chiming in. I think it is a little crazy. Yo, it's just wild, man, to be that good during the draft in back-to-back years. Think about where we were in 2022. They were 7 and 4, man. After that New England, because we talked about this to start the stream. That Buffalo win to beat Josh Allen at home, you then had a bye, lost to New England after the bye 10-3 on a Marcus Jones return for a touchdown that caused Zach Wilson to get benched. You beat Chicago, you're 7 and 4, and then you lose. And I remember these games. So, December in Minnesota, Minnesota was really good. The Jets had a chance to win that game. Braxton Berrios had a ball in his hands in the end zone and just dropped it. Yo, Mike White balled out, threw for 369 yards in that game. Threw for 369 yards. Garrett Wilson went for a buck 62. Bam Knight was showing out, and they lost. They went up to Buffalo, had a chance, they were competitive. Mike White gets his ribs fractured, and then the owner's, like, calling him, what do you call him, soft? Then you lose to Detroit. That was the crazy 4th down play. Y'all remember that? It was 4th and 5 from midfield, and the Jet defense just sold, and they gave up a touchdown on a 4th down play from midfield, 149 remaining in the 4th quarter. Brock Wright, 51-yard pass from Jared Goff. I mean, that it reliving that season, I'm just being brought down again. Like, I'm legitimately sad again. I'm sad because 'cause I'm just looking. I don't even have to, like, go through the tape or anything. I remember I just see the game on the schedule, I see the final score, and I'm like, "Yes, I remember that heartbreak." Jacksonville 19-3 was that ugly Thursday night where, Streveler that was just so embarrassing. You got the Seattle game. Remember, after they lost to Jacksonville, they were still technically in it, and I remember doing shows with my man Dan Grassa, Afternoon Drive, doing shows with Grassa, on ESPN Radio in New York, and, like, we were talking. I remember leading up to that game, right around the holidays, we were talking about, like, despite the 4-game losing streak, like, they still have a chance to right the ship and make the playoffs. They still have a shot to do that. And then, if I remember correctly, first play of the game, what's the running back's name? Why, Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, the 4th. If I remember correctly, the first play of the game, I wanna go back and see, he just ran for, like, 90 yards. Yeah, a 60-yard run. Yeah, first play of the game, Kenneth Walker runs for 60, and we're like, "Alright, so this is what we're doing. Like, this is the kinda game we're about to watch." First play of the game, 60 yard, 60 yards. That was nuts, man. And then, yeah, that was all she wrote. You get the Miami game and, 11-6. Shout out Joe Flacco. But it's devastating, man. Yo, if you're in the chat, if you are watching us on YouTube or on X, hit us up, man. We wanna hear from you guys. We are talking about your confidence level in the New York Jets after what we've seen so far. Um, m what we've seen so far, just like the deadline and, Quincy Williams getting benched. He talked about that today. Darren Mucci says it's not a complete tear down. And I get he has to say that because, first of all, the league would not approve or appreciate you letting fans know that you are now punting on the second half of your season. It's not a good message to send to the players in the locker room. Like, the players know it, but to hear that from the general manager, that's not great. Like, you wanna still feel like there's something to play off, something to play for. And then the messaging to the fans, "Yeah, we're done. Yeah, guys, we sold our best players. Yeah, we wanna lose out and get the best record or the best draft pick possible." No one wants to do that. Like, that's just not smart. Jose chimes in again. Those teams were not the same. They let go of the failure Joe Douglas draft picks that provided depth for older players at the A. Um, I I just remember and going through it, like, it was certainly frustrating because of the quarterback play, and I don't wanna make Robert Saleh out to be, Bill Belichick, because there were a lot of times you watch Saleh and you're like, "This dude just ain't it." I gave you the example of coming off of a bye, you lose 10-3 in Foxborough, like, that just can't happen. That Seattle game where, you knew Kenneth Walker IV is like, that's the guy you gotta stop. First play of the game, gashes you for 60 yards. And Saleh dealt with a lot of quarterback issues, like, Zach Wilson wasn't the guy, Mike White, you know, he played well, but he also got hurt. There's Strebler and Flacco, like, the quarterback room stunk. So he wasn't dealt, like, the best hand, but there were times you watched that team and you just felt excited about just certain aspects of it. Even if you lamented some of Salah's coaching decisions or coaching performances, you were like, "Man, that defense is balling out. That run game is spectacular, and imagine how much better they would be if they had decent quarterback play." I watch the Jets now, and there's nothing that excites me. There's nothing that I look at and I'm proud of. Justin had an incredible game. We were all rooting for him. Even if you're not a Jet fan, you wanted to see him under those circumstances excel because the owner did him dirty. But there's nothing right now you look at when it comes to this team on a week in, week out basis and say, all right, that's the thing that they're good at. That they don't have an identity. So how is it that me not getting hyped about some future first round picks is considered me being too negative? I'm not too negative, I'm realistic. If we wanna play the percentages, we're gonna be in a rebuild 3 years from now, again. The one thing that I do appreciate, the one thing that I do find to be fascinating is this, because we saw it, kinda percolate, and it was out there, that maybe the Jets don't look at their next quarterback coming from the draft. Maybe they are accumulating assets to go out there and trade for a quarterback. The problem is, who's the quarterback? Because you start to go around the league, and it's not like you find somebody that, like, Aaron Rodgers was in a spot where he had won in Green Bay, that relationship soured, he was coming off of back-to-back MVPs. Maybe he had aged a little bit, but he was still good enough you thought, "Alright, we go get this guy, we're gonna be fine." Like, that made sense in the moment. But everyone's throwing out Joe Burrow. I don't see Cincinnati after locking up T. Higgins and Jamar Chase just giving Joe Burrow away. I just don't see that happening. I don't think that's going down. I've got no interest in Tua. None at all. Yo, if you were still someone who had hope Tua could be a decent quarterback because he has had some, like, moments and stretches where it looked like, "Alright, maybe we were all wrong about him." Like, there were that couple years ago where he was, and again, it was only, like, 7 games into the season. It's like, "Oh, could Tua be the MVP?" But yeah, Tua was not that guy. But if even if you still had held hope out for Tua, you listen to that dude who we already know can't beat good teams. We already know can't play in cold weather. Literally say, "Yeah, man, sometimes I have a hard time seeing over the line of scrimmage because like them dudes are too tall. I'm good." So Tua was not gonna be answering anyone's quarterback questions or anyone who should be taken seriously. He's not answering any of their quarterback questions. So who's the quarterback that could shake free that the Jets are trading for? Who's that quarterback? That's who's the guy? Are we doing this with Kyler Murray? Like, did I see my man? Imma be on the radio with Bart on Friday, so I'm asking about that. Like, did I see you talking about the Jets trading for Kyler Murray? Here's what I know. I am not the football savant that Bart Scott is, obviously. He knows a whole lot more about football than I do. But I'll ask Bart, doesn't it feel strange? Isn't it kind of a turnoff when upon a team giving a guy a contract extension, there's a clause in there for, "We need you to actually study a little bit more." Like, we need you to, I don't know, just hold off on the video, like, being nervous about new video games coming out because we fear our quarterback might be too caught up in that over actually studying, you know, the game prep and watching film. I don't know if that's someone that I wanna take a chance on. But who's the guy? And why it's fascinating is because obviously what helped kickstart, uh, the success for the Detroit Lions was a massive trade. A trade that you could argue worked out for both teams. Let's just swap Matt Stafford for Jared Goff. Dan Campbell got his guy, and, Aaron Glenn obviously saw that up close and personal. It just worked out for the Lions. Now, they haven't won a Super Bowl, obviously, but they've been to an NFC championship game every year. They're one of the best teams in the league, and maybe that's how you kickstart this for the Jets. You go out there and find a quarterback on another team that team is ready to give up on, and you take him. You flip him, and you flip some of these picks into that quarterback, but who's the quarterback that's gonna shake free? I just don't see it. Is Dallas are the Cowboys gonna get to it? And it can't happen. They're about to give Pickens a big contract. They just gave CeeDee Lamb a big contract. They traded for Quinnen Williams, so they're throwing all their eggs into this basket. I was gonna say, could the Cowboys be a team that a year from now look at Dak and say, "Man, we don't wanna pay you. We don't You're the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. We don't wanna do this anymore. Can we trade him elsewhere?" But that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm trying to find the logic in that if you're the Cowboys. You're not gonna do that, right? And I know Jerry Jones is wacky, but he's not gonna after paying CeeDee Lamb, and then they're gonna pay George Pickens, and after they traded for Quinnen Williams, like, is he gonna then trade his quarterback? That doesn't make any sense. A year after trading Micah Parsons, so yeah, in back-to-back off seasons, you're trading your 2 best players? And this is different from the Jets because the Jets bottomed out. They were looking to cash in on some assets. The Cowboys are in the playoffs every year. So where's that quarterback coming from? Which quarterback are you trading for to bring him in here and to kickstart what you hope is going to be a nice little run for the Jets? I can't find him. We're past the Matt Stafford thing, and the Rams might win the Super Bowl this year. Who knows? Where's that guy coming from? My man Harvey. Why you have to be mad? It's only a game. Love you, Ty, number 1 fan. Harvey's my guy, man. Yo, Harvey, shouldn't you be watching, some, Red Bull action, or the Devils might be playing tonight. Shouldn't you be watching the Devils, my G? Focus on your Devils, man. And how about your New York Giants, who have a head coach who is clearly in over his head? I'm not mad. I'm just saying I'm not excited. That's the thing. I'm not excited. Do you think the Jets will keep Fields but sign a Mac Jones or Brissett and trade for one of these later round picks of Sanders, still given the flexibility of evaluating a quarterback in 2027, aka Arch? There's a lot to unpack there. So if you had asked me a week ago or 2 weeks ago, would they keep Fields? I'd say no. After the owner just blasted him publicly, there's no shot, that they wanna keep Fields, but I guess it remains to be seen now because he had that great performance against the Bengals. If he continues to play well, uh, maybe Justin gets over what Woody said and, they kinda patch that up. I don't think that he can come back after what the owner said, but if he plays well down the season and the Jets decide they're not in on this quarterback class, then in theory, yeah, you have him already under contract, right? And he's got a dead cap hit next year regardless. So in theory, that could make sense. Mac Jones, I don't see them. Maybe right as a backup, I guess. But you also think Mac Jones could play himself into a starting caliber, a starting quarterback role next year. Like he's been playing well for the Niners. Jacoby Brissett, hey man, Arizona might keep Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback. Arizona might keep Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback next year. Now we'll see what happens with the head coach, right, with, Jonathan Gannon, but Brissett was letting that thing go against the Cowboys this past week, so I guess there's a chance he could at least be a stopgap quarterback for them. Arch Manning, 2027, like, we're going 2 years late. I can't evaluate a quarterback 2 years from now. Like, who knows? We it's still a whole 'nother season to be played. He was raw coming into this year, which is why I didn't understand the hype about him, and I shouldn't say I didn't understand the hype. The hype was because of his last name, but we need a lot more film, a lot more tape on him to see if this dude is gonna be a franchise quarterback. And by the way, you think, the Manning family is gonna let that dude go play for Woody Johnson? I think not. I think not. Um, alright, we went an hour strong here. Wifey asked me, she was like, how long you gonna be streaming for?" Um, said 30 minutes, be 30 minutes. And we had some fun, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, Ty D Butler, YouTube. That's where you can find me. Instagram, TikTok. Let's do it, baby. X. That's where you can find me on all my social media platforms. I will be on the radio in New York on ESPN and on the YouTube ESPN page. The YouTube ESPN page. The ESPN YouTube page. Friday from 10 to 1 with Bart Scott. So we'll be talking a lot about the New York Jets who are fresh off their bye. Play the Cleveland Browns. You brought up Shador Sanders, Jose. You think Shador Sanders is the type of guy who Aaron Glenn wants in his locker room? I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that, but I guess it's an interesting conversation. Maybe Shador can get into a couple games here later as the season progresses for the hapless Browns. But yeah, I'll be on the radio Friday with my man Bart Scott from 10 to 1 on ESPN in New York and on the ESPN New York YouTube page. I'm also going to be on SNY this Saturday night. So we'll get into the Jets and the Giants. We're sure talk some Knicks as well. But yeah, it was fun to talk to you guys. It was fun to holler at y'all. I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday. Maybe we'll get into the Knicks, some baseball, a whole lot to do, man. Hit me up, Ty D Butler. Appreciate y'all.